Hello and welcome back to the Rose Ed podcast. Hope everyone had a good Christmas and a great New Year's. We are back better than ever, and no better way to start off the new year with a brand new special guest. Joe, would you like to introduce yourself and tell everyone about yourself?
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Joe, and so at the minute I've just signed for a new Step 4 team. So that's in the North Isthmian, and so I started well footballing wise this season, and I was at Wembley because I go to university at UCFB Wembley, and so I joined my local like the best team I could find around, which is Wembley. And from there, had a really good start to the season. I was top goal scorer for quite a while in the league. And then I got a few offers from some Step 5 teams, but I thought, no, I'm going to stay at Wembley while I'm at uni because it's just convenient for me. And then a Step 4 team came in and they gave me a good offer. And I thought, I can't turn it down. So I want to try and push myself. So yeah, I'm now playing for them.
Perfect stuff. To be fair, I think Arsenal could do with a striker at this, right? So how much do you reckon you'd be worth?
Yeah, honestly, I think that's a bit of a jump up.
But and obviously we're joined by my co-host Ducker. So have a good New Year's, Ducker. Good Christmas.
Awful, mate. Awful New Year's. Working both New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So year's ruined already. Roll on 2025.
2025 is going to be your year. That's what it is. But
That's
this week
it.
we're starting back with a bang, like I said. So we're going to do football hot takes. So we're hopefully going to annoy a couple of people. Get like that's what you want to do from this. This is what they're for. So,
It's just for
Ducker, would you
clickbait.
like
This
to?
is purely
Yeah,
clickbait
brilliant.
content.
Right.
I'm all here for it.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and we're hoping to start TikTok. So no better way to do this than just to get on every fan's nerves by doing football hot takes. So, Ducker, would you like to start us off with the first hot take?
Oh, I don't know what one I'm going to go for. I've got four written down for me. I just do come up with some very, very hot takes on the podcast in general by saying Costa Simicast is like the best left back in the league. But
Yeah,
no, I'm
True,
going to go
true.
for a bit. I think this is more of a very popular hot take, so it's more of a cold take. But the Arsenal
nice.
Invincibles is not even in the top three Premier League winning teams of all time. I think Man City last season, the treble winning side, shits on them.
Yeah,
The Chelsea side that conceded 15 goals in one season is not talked about enough. Is arguably the best team in Premier League history, in my opinion, conceding 15 goals across 38 games. That's ridiculous. So that's harder than going unbeaten.
yeah.
They're better. The
Mm.
Centurions Manchester City team also better, and that's just off the top of my head. So this Arsenal Invincible side may not even be top five. In my opinion, I don't think they're that great. Drawing 12 games across a season, you can get relegated and still go unbeaten in the Premier League. So
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah, I can see that. Do you agree with that, Joe? Are you agreeing with
I
that one?
think, funny enough, I completely agree because I know Liverpool, for example, we've had, I can't remember if it's two or three, like 90 plus points now. And I remember the season, because I'm a Liverpool fan, when we lost one game that season, and that was just from Watford. And I just think that is a lot harder to do because I think what did that Invincible team finish on? Was it about 70 something points?
70 something points. Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
even that
Yeah,
must
great of
have
a
been.
tally. If you do that now,
no, exactly.
you're scraping top four. So
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
I think, like you said, obviously it's impressive to not lose any games. I'm not denying it, but I think because they also got knocked out quite early in all the cups as well. I think
Yeah.
in that year, obviously, I was only like two or three at the time, so I don't remember it fondly. But I think they all got knocked out early in the cups, which obviously helped them. And like you said, they drew a lot of games. Whereas I'd say the City Centurions, the treble winners probably is up as well. That Chelsea team, the Liverpool team that won the league would also be up there. And probably some of the Man U teams, maybe '08 Manchester United was that Ronaldo, Tevez, and all them. I think they
Even
would
even
probably
even the
be in
Liverpool
as
team
well.
that came second behind Man City, like when it
Yeah,
was 1 point difference, even that Liverpool team's better than the Arsenal Invincible team. And he
yeah,
didn't even win the league.
Definitely.
So
yeah,
you know what I
exactly.
mean? I
No,
don't think
I'd
they're great. All respect to Arsenal, it's a great achievement going invincible
yeah,
across the Premier League season. It's a lot harder
mm,
now to do, but the fact is, teams are winning more games, gaining more points. You go invincible in that sort of manner in this current stage of modern football. You're not winning the league. You're finishing top four, and it's not so much of an achievement. Yes, back then it's a great achievement, but they are by far not the best
yeah,
Premier League side in history.
yeah.
And I think
I know. I
it's
think yeah,
what I'd say is the way you compare it to that Chelsea team when they only conceded, what was it, 15 goals?
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that is definitely a lot harder because when you look at it now, if you take it by a 38 game season and you just focus on not losing every game, it's just 90 minutes where you try not to score, try not to concede, sorry. But when you get 15 goals conceded, like you've seen, Liverpool just conceded 3 to Fulham, and then City just conceded, what was it, 4 to Chelsea, just like that in one game. To only concede 15 across 38 games, I think is crazy. And I'd much rather, like my Liverpool team, do that than the
Yeah,
Invincible.
yeah. I also think nowadays it's like teams could go invincible, but like I think City could have easily done it last couple of seasons, but they've almost, because they were in all competitions, they went for every trophy. Like I said, Arsenal got knocked out early. They almost went sack everything else off. We're going for like just the Prem and trying not to lose every Prem game. Whereas
Yeah.
City try and win every single game they're in, every competition, every single week. So I think that's why eventually it catches up to them and they drop points in the odd game or lose games very rarely. But I think this moves on nicely to my first one. Sticking to the Arsenal theme, not to attack them too much, but I've got Arsenal fans are the most deluded at the top six fan base, in my opinion. I've seen a lot of stuff over the last 2 weeks, and the worst one of all, I don't know if you saw on Twitter, was the Arsenal fans putting Bukayo Saka and I think Martinelli in a combined team with the Real Madrid Champions League winning team. So in their head, they had Martinelli and Saka ahead of Karim Benzema and Gareth Bale, which is just, I'm speechless. The only one I could actually listen to in that Arsenal team is Saliba, questionable. But even then, it's out of a push. Otherwise, no one else in that Arsenal team, for me, gets anywhere near that squad, in my opinion. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys agree.
I think that it's definitely most deluded because like when you look at the top six or like the traditional top six, I feel like Spurs, no matter what they say, no one actually cares because like they don't have anything to back. So it's just like they say and you're like, yeah. And
Yeah.
then Chelsea have kind of done like stuff around like the 2010s. They've done stuff. Same with City, same with Liverpool, same with United. But Arsenal, they kind of hang on to what they had. Like,
Yeah,
great, you had the Invincibles, you had all of that. And now they still
exactly.
try and talk as if that's them now, but it's not.
No, I agree. They talk like they obviously are the biggest club in London. I'm not denying that, and their history is great. I'm not denying that. Great players, whatever. But they do think that like they will constantly bring up the Invincibles, like what we've just said. They will
Yeah.
know they'll put Invincibles top because we didn't lose any games. City lost 2 or 3, whatever it is. But City got 30 odd points more than them, so that team's just mathematically better. Obviously, no Champions League as well, and I think the way they obviously every team has their bias towards their own players. I get that. You're not a fan if you don't, but they can never admit. Like even looking the other day, we obviously just beat them in the FA Cup with quite a few big players out. And there's some of the stuff they're saying like, oh, Liverpool like scrapes it, and they just weren't good. It was fluke. Like it's, and you're just looking at it going like, oh, some of them saying like Arteta is almost better than Klopp in some stuff, or he's going to have a better Prem legacy. Arteta's done nothing in what 3 or 4 years he's been there.
Yeah.
Like I just think they're getting way too like they just had this one fluke season because Chelsea were off it. United weren't brilliant last year, or where they were, but not to the level they should be. Liverpool were off it. All these top teams were off it, and that's why they bottled the league last year. But they won't say it because they're young and it's. But if it was anyone else, they'd be slaughtering people. I don't know what you think, Ducker, but
Yeah, no, I agree.
Another thing I'd say. Oh yeah, you go.
No, go ahead. You started.
What I was going to say is that I saw it on Twitter. Funny enough, just before I came on it, is that I know it's all good, but I'm like not paid for the Premier League. Like it must be different. So I like when you listen to like the managers and stuff and what they say on it. And like Mourinho has said that don't have to worry about Arsenal like in the title race. He said it's Liverpool City. And even just before I came on, I saw Pep Guardiola was talking about Liverpool and how we're back and we're challenging, and doesn't even mention Arsenal. And I think that just shows how like no one's actually worried about Arsenal as much as Arsenal fans think they are.
yeah,
Yeah, they're just a
exactly.
bit. I don't know. Arsenal fans always had that sort of deluded area over them, even when they were just, I don't know, the biggest clowns in football. And they're finishing 8th, 7th. Even their fans then were just piping up with just the most ridiculous bullshit ever. Like Arsenal fan TV certainly doesn't help them. The amount of fucking twats that go on there and spout bollocks and say they're going to win the title after finishing 8th in the league
Yeah,
is quite laughable, and they don't put themselves in a good manner because obviously that sort of stuff, clickbait, which obviously we're doing right now, catches light, and then
Yeah.
obviously, then they're highlighted as the most deluded fans in England. But I think all clubs have them though. Like, even Liverpool fans, you have to admit as yourselves, even you've got your
Yeah.
twats in the fan base that think you're gonna win it all. I mean,
Yeah.
you might, but even when you were finishing seventh and so forth, you were thinking you're the best team in the world. But but Arsenal fans are a bit extra than the rest. They seem to compare themselves to God when really they're just fucking sheep in a stable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, exactly. So, what's your football hot take then?
So I've got a few. My first one I feel is really going to rustle some feathers with Chelsea fans. And that is, I personally, when you look at it, I think this is so true. I don't even think it should be a hot take. I think Hazard is closer to Anthony than he is to Salah. 100%.
That's a fucking
That's
hot
the
take.
title done. That is the title. I love it.
The
That's
clickbait,
it.
clickbait.
This is why we brought him on the
My
channel. That is
word.
brilliant.
Oh
You
my
have to
word.
explain that. You have to explain that.
Because I think when you look at it, it's same as you call Anthony, just he does tricks, does skills, no end product. That's what he's coming to. Hazard has a bit of end product, does the skills, but he's nowhere near Salah goals, nowhere near Salah assists. Like, if you put Hazard into the Liverpool team, doesn't do what Salah does. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's just, I hate when people compare Hazard and Salah because I just think Salah is
But
clear.
I think that's a bit outrageous to say that he's probably closer to Anthony than he is Salah. I do think there's head and shoulders between the ability of Salah and Hazard. Don't get me wrong, I see that, but I think there's fucking BFG head and shoulders between the ability of Hazard and Anthony.
So I think there is distance between Anthony and Hazard, but when you look at them as players, like you get Anthony's skill compilations and then no goals and assists. Like Hazard, you get that goal against West Ham where he dribbled past people. But other than that, like he's not like you put in there and think, right, he's going to go in and win you a game like Salah does. Like Salah has that killer instinct that I don't think Hazard has.
Yeah, no, I know you. I think I get what you mean. I do think there's a big gap between him and Salah. I'd agree with that. I think maybe he does because he could win you a game, but he wins it differently. Like the thing is, the argument between them two, not getting too torn up on Hazard versus Salah, but is when you have to compare them, people go, "Oh, prime Hazard," like one-off prime. They can't go Hazard's career because they know it's not even a debate. Then you just go prime Hazard versus just Salah because they know that if you went prime Salah, you got what at that point it was the record goals in the season and all that. Whereas Hazard had like 2 years off, like a full season off, and then just scored the goal against Tottenham, and then turned like stuff like that. Like, so I understand that point. I think Anthony's a bit. I think I know. I think I can slightly agree with it. I've got to agree with it as I'm a Liverpool fan, so I have to back it. Yeah.
I can't bring myself to agree with it.
I was just saying, like, I saw the thing, Dominic Solanke has already outscored all of Hazard's goals, and it's, what is it, January? Like,
Dom Solanke is a striker, though, in a very overperforming side.
But in a ballless side where Hazard had, who did he have around him? He had Costa around him that would create for him. He had Pedro, he had Fabregas behind him. Like,
Oscar,
all these guys. You make a very good argument there.
Salah is such a good winger that people like to call him a striker. Like, that's how good he is.
Yeah, no, I actually back. I back it. I think almost. I nearly put one in about Salah almost being underrated because of that. But I think that's so commonly done. I think we like to say everyone's underrated loads, and then it almost overrates them. I don't think you could ever overrate Salah personally, but I think it happens a lot with players. Everyone goes, "Oh, it's underrated, it's underrated, it's underrated," and then it almost just overrates him. But so your statement there is that Hazard is closer to Anthony than he is Mo Salah, correct?
100%, yeah.
That's brilliant. I love that.
That's
exactly what we want on this channel. That's the title. That's brilliant. Wow. That's brilliant. So, Ducker, we'll come back to you. I don't know how you're going to top that one because that is brilliant.
Yeah, I'm just going to have a look at mine now. You know what? I don't think I can follow that up, but my next one is going to be Newcastle are always seen, especially by the media, as this sleeping giant that has returned to European football. They are not a big club. They're mediocre at best. Never won a European trophy. They're not big. They're not big at all. They've competed in Europe a few times. Their last trophy, I think, was in the 1950s. They've competed in Europe. So have Norwich City.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
love it.
They're not a big club at all. They're just a one-club city that is a very big city similar to Norwich. Norwich always sell out at home and travel well away from home. It's because we're a one-club city, right? Yeah, I mean, Newcastle is a one-club city and one of the biggest cities in England. No wonder they have a good fan base because everyone that lives there supports them because there's fuck well around them apart from Middlesbrough and Sunderland and Hartlepool if you want to throw them in there. So it's a one-club city. They're not big. They've never won a big trophy. And all the fans that are alive now, they ever seen a trophy? No, the ones that maybe have seen a trophy probably can't fucking remember it. So, you know what I mean?
Oh, Jordy's. I agree with up until. Oh yeah, I wouldn't say I think that's a bit far. Like in teams like Villa, you'd put above them as a bigger club for sure.
Yeah.
Surely, are we? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Villa have won European trophies. Nottingham Forest have won European trophies.
Yeah,
but this whole idea
like
from
saying,
the media to say that Newcastle are a sleeping giant going into Europe, they're not a sleeping giant. They're a good club. Don't get me wrong, they're a good club. But
oil money.
There we go. Yeah, exactly. But they've competed in Europe a few times. They've finished top 4 here and there. Norwich City finished third and were top at Christmas in 1993. If we want to throw that in there, you know what I mean. I'm not comparing Newcastle to Norwich, but I'm just saying, for what they're seen as big, other teams are seen as small. Yes, they've got a brilliant stadium and they sell out week in, week out.
Yeah,
but that's because they're a one-club city.
I think they do get a lot of I think the media loves them. I don't know what I think there's always an excuse for Newcastle. I think I said at the start of the season they wouldn't do well, and look at them, they're not doing well at all this season. They're what, 8th or 9th, I think, because of European football. But every injury they get, it's a massive thing that the whole world has to stop because they have a player out injured. Look at all the teams that have players out injured all the time. Spurs have had a lot. Liverpool have now got quite a few out injured, obviously including AFCON. But I think with Newcastle, it's almost like they want everyone to take out their violin and start playing for them because they've got a few players injured because they've obviously brought in the Saudi money, but they're not able to spend it the same as City, I don't think, because they're a bit more tighter on it now. So I do think they want this sort of extra pity off of everyone that they almost, in my opinion, don't deserve. Because Jason Tyndall's a prick to start with. Hate that man.
Loves the camera, that man. Loves it.
I hate that man so much. He's such an idiot. I don't mind Eddie Howe. He's a decent manager. I don't mind him. But I would agree with that one.
When that hot take started, I at first was thinking, no. But then the more you start to talk, you actually look into it and you're like, that is so true. And I think it might be the media, like you said, have just turned Newcastle into be this huge, top tier club, but they're actually not. I think that where they've got that money, because I feel do you think if Aston Villa got that money or Nottingham Forest got that money, it would be even bigger than Newcastle are now?
Definitely,
because
of the history that carries both sides. I mean, you look at Aston Villa now; they're on that rise. Yeah. They'll be playing Champions League football next season. That's bigger than Newcastle playing Champions League football this season. The only thing that I can kind of agree with the media in terms of the whole sleeping giant thing, I wouldn't say sleeping giant, but Newcastle, especially in the 90s and early noughties, are renowned for being a top 4 side. Yes, they haven't been a top 4 side, for a couple of decades, but doesn't mean they're a big club. They haven't won a major trophy for God knows how long. They've won the championship a couple of times. Well, guess what? So have Norwich City.
So, to be fair, I think it'd be if Everton got the money, they are a sleeping giant. I'd classify them as a sleeping.
Fucking, that's a hot take in itself, Adam.
If Everton got the money that Newcastle had and jumped up to then it's because they back in the day used to be a really good side. I don't know obviously how much they won.
Let's not say Huddersfield as well, because they won the first 2 league titles and the first division got formed.
Then Huddersfield are massive. That's just true, then, isn't it? So, but I think we can all agree that I think Newcastle are overrated by the media. I think it's almost like this story that they want everyone to get behind. They make it out like they've come from nothing and rags to riches sort of thing. Which is, I almost think they underplay Villa's because of that. Like you said, Villa being they're second in the league at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah. Villa's achievement is much more impressive.
It's not spoken about enough. Competing in European football, which playing Thursdays, people argue sometimes is more difficult than the Wednesday, Saturday.
But that's the thing. They're playing European football with a similar budget, probably less of a budget than Newcastle, and still competing in the Premier League to a higher level than they were the season before. Newcastle, on the other hand, finished 4th. Well done. All credit to them. Done really well. Really impressed me last season. This season's come
Yeah.
around. They've had a few injuries. They've had a few setbacks. They've got them. They had the money in the summer to buy players and have that squad depth to compete in European competitions and then the
Yeah.
Premier League. Now they can't. They're out of Europe. Gone out with a whimper. And in the Premier League, they'll be lucky if they get top 6. But yeah, like you say, Villa, on the other hand, I think that what they're doing is so under the radar at the minute, and I'm really baffled to how that's still going under the radar. What they're doing is incredibly impressive, and they've had injuries as well. Emi Buendia's been out since the start of the season, arguably their most creative player. No, I'm I'm not having Emi Buendia slander. All right, I'm still in love with that kid.
We're not getting that's enough of knowledge. We'll move on.
Okay,
so what is your next football hot take?
Okay, so I was gonna put this on, and then I thought, no, I'm not. It's not really a hot take. But then I thought, no, I'll put it in because this kind of ties into the Super League. So for me personally, give you some background. I am a huge fan of the NBA, and I prefer to play 2K over FIFA now. I just think it's a better game. I prefer watching NBA. I think playoffs is so exciting to watch. And I was thinking, if the Super League came round and they did it like the NBA do it, where best teams stay in, but then the worst teams, they get the best pick and do picks from academies. So you can pick from, like, if you play for Liverpool Academy, so say, for example, with like Phil Foden play for City, but then Luton finished bottom, they could take Phil Foden and have him. And I don't know if it's a hot take, but I just would love to see how the Premier League would play out if they did it like the NBA.
So so you just made the Premier League into
like a sort of draft system.
Like a draft. I think that would be better. I'd be thinking that'd be more fun to watch.
Wow. It'd be interesting.
Because I've always liked the playoffs as well, and I think that is a very cool way to make the end of the season more. Because you reach a point of where you get like 7th to like 14th, 15th in the league, where they're just playing for nothing. They're just playing just to finish the season. You've got the teams that might have already been relegated, so that's done, and you have the title decided. Then you've maybe just got a couple of Champions League spots up for grabs. That's it. So 90% of the league is playing for nothing. Whereas if you're playing for that spot to get into a playoffs, maybe let's say top 8, maybe get playoffs, let's say. Then I think that adds something because obviously there'll be a lot of money behind it as well for various things. But I think the pick system would work well. Like, you could, as you said, imagine Luton or something like that just going and taking a Salah or something. It would be quite cool. I think that would definitely add to it. And then you're sort of, but I suppose you need a lot more money in the academies to make that work, wouldn't you?
And I think the way it would have to work is, I would love to see it, but again, this is why I wasn't going to put it, because I feel like it's impossible to do now. Like, unless they do a massive change.
The whole would almost have to change, wouldn't it, to make that work? 100%. Because you'd be saying to the Championship, now you're basically one of the top divisions now. The Premier League's now in a separate thing altogether, isn't it? Yeah. I think that if there was a way to make, I definitely think playoffs should be introduced somehow into the Prem or into football. More so, like for the Champions League, not just to come into the Prem. But a draft system definitely would be quite cool with the Super League. That would be obviously the way they link it in. But what do you think about that, Ducker?
I just couldn't get behind it. I really couldn't. It's just, I don't know. I'd find it too weird. Like, I'm going to bring Norwich back into it, but we finished bottom of the Premier League. Oh, yeah, we're going to take Erling Haaland. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we've really got Josh Sargent. Who's Haaland in this game? You know what I mean? It's just weird. Like, you lose Grant Hanley at centre back and you bring in Ruben Diaz. Like, I don't know how I'd feel. It'd be a bit weird.
That's a downgrade, if anything, to be honest. That's a downgrade.
Exactly. Has Grant Hanley ever got a last minute assist against it? Ruben Diaz ever got a last minute assist against Ipswich? No, he hasn't. Okay. It's an interesting one.
I can see it. I'd love to see a world where it did happen. I think a lot of fans would hate it to start with, but I think if there was a definite plan over there, you'd almost have to say it's like a 10-year project or some a drastic project, not just a 1-year thing. You'd have to this is going to go over 3 or 4 seasons, and then you're going to actually see what it's like. But it'd be cool. It'd be a cool thing to try. So to wrap up the hot takes, I'll finish off on. I don't know whether it's a hot take. Maybe it's being a Liverpool fan. I think Curtis Jones should start for England. 24 euros. I think. Hear me out. Midfield 3. Jude Bellingham, Curtis Jones, Declan Rice. Because, yeah, Maddison, they're all good. I'm not saying they're not.
So
But,
you'd rather have Curtis Jones than Trent?
well, no, he won't start Trent in the bigger game because he's not a proper midfielder. Like, I would love that, but I don't think he will do that. Because
It
this
is a
is
hot take for you,
because
Adam. Sean Longstaff gets on over Curtis Jones.
that's disgusting. That's slant. No, I'm not having that.
No, that is bad.
Curtis Jones is a really good footballer, and if he continues to play at the level he's at the moment, he's almost like, I wouldn't say undroppable at Liverpool, but he's not far off with the way he's played in recent weeks. And I think he's that perfect balance of, because Bellingham's almost like I wouldn't say he's a number 10, but I wouldn't say he's like an 8. Like with the way he played Madrid, he's almost like
he plays as a
yeah,
10
Madrid.
doesn't he?
He's so attacking for Madrid, and then for England, he's still like it's like an attacking 8, but not a 10. I know that sounds stupid, but he's in like that middle where he's just almost told to do what he wants. And you have Rice sitting there. I think Curtis Jones is that perfect ball playing player to fit in the middle between like defense and attack to bring the ball up. I think he drives the ball really well. Because I think England lack that final midfielder. Because if you put Maddison in there or Foden, they're too attacking, and then Rice is on his own, or you're forcing Bellingham to defend more. And I think that's wasted, in my opinion. So that's why it's a hot take. Curtis Jones in 2024, be on that plane, mate.
It's funny you say that.
I can see it happening, though. That's the thing. I can see it happening.
I said, yeah, I think Jones should go. Like, I don't think that's a hot take to say he should go, but I just will never get behind him starting now. I think it has to be Rice, Bellingham, Trent, and that would be our future through.
That would be the dream, but I don't know if he's going to stick with Trent. To be fair, at this rate, you've got Trippier's not ungrateful and Reece James injured, so it's knocked out 2 of his competition at right back. But yeah, I don't know. I think that would be interesting. But moving on to the final segment of the video, we're doing our predictions.
Oh, on here.
So we've got it's a bit of an awkward one this one. I've got them all written out here. It's across 2 weeks because of the staggered break this year, which is a bit shit, a bit annoying. So Joe, you basically what is it? Is you get 2 points for a correct answer, isn't it? For the correct score or result.
Let me check on previous scores.
What's this? Is this on Premier League fixtures?
So yeah, you get 3
Premier League fixtures.
You get 3 if you get the score correct. You get 1 if you get the result correct, and you get nothing if you just get it wrong.
If you get it wrong. So let's jump straight into it. For the first game of across the 2 weeks is Burnley at home to Luton. What do you think the score is going to be?
I will go 2-2.
That is a high scoring game there.
Wait, Burnley at home?
London Derby. Yeah, Burnley at home.
They're playing Kenilworth Road. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Oh.
You've got Chelsea versus Fulham in the London Derby.
I'll go 2-1 Chelsea.
2-1 Chelsea. Then we have big game, Newcastle versus Manchester City.
3-1 City.
3-1. We move on to another big game, Everton versus Aston Villa.
2-0 Aston Villa.
Ooh. God, there's a couple of big games this week. We then have Man United versus Spurs.
3-3.
Man, you're back now.
3-3. 3-3.
Yeah.
3-3. United.
If that comes up, I'll give you 5 points.
Because I've looked at their past. They have high-scoring games.
That's true. Spurs
3-3 even. Sorry.
I don't know. Without Son and United can't really score. That'd be if that's a Højlund hat trick. That meme guy's going to be loving it. He's waiting for a miracle. He's going to be loving it. And then we have Arsenal versus Palace.
I'll go 3-1 Arsenal.
Ooh. Tricky run of form recently. What's it? 1 win in 7. Arteta out, I think. Then we've got Brentford versus Forest.
1-0 Brentford.
I think this is Ivan Toney's first game back, I believe, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Will be.
I think he's able to play now. Yeah, I think he's able to play. So it kind of makes it. It wouldn't be surprised if he comes back and scores.
I reckon he'll start. He's been training since September, hasn't he? So
and he's been playing for the Brentford Bees, I think, playing Brentford B team, playing with them. Moving on to Sheffield versus West Ham.
I'll go 2-0 West Ham.
Then we have Bournemouth at home to Liverpool.
I am a Liverpool fan. I hate going to the Vitality. I'm going to go 2-1 Bournemouth.
Oh, wow,
Wow.
that's tough. That.
Wow.
Oh, I
No
think it'll be a
Salah, no
close game.
Trent,
Yeah, no Endo as well, mainly.
no
No
Endo.
Endo. Right. And then finally, the final game of the weekend we have, well, across the 2 weeks, is Brighton versus Wolves.
I'll go 2-1 Brighton.
2-1 Brighton, home win.
And that's
There's
it.
some big predictions in there. That 3-0 Man U Spurs stands out to me, and
Bournemouth winning.
backing Bournemouth to beat Liverpool.
Yeah.
But then Bournemouth have done well. They beat Newcastle at home, didn't they?
Yeah,
Bournemouth
they're,
have been
they're
good.
looking at home. They
Yeah.
don't look half bad now. And yeah, no, big things. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Sweet.
So that wraps
Yeah,
up
that's
for our
every- yeah,
first
that's
episode back
everything.
of the year. Yeah, so thank you everyone for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you, Joe, for coming back on. I'm sure
Thank you
people
for
are going to
having
want to see you back on when you're coming on here, saying Hazard is closer to Anthony than Salah. That is what we want on this
They'll
me.
come
channel.
to your
Fans
So,
will
house
never
with
want to see me
pitchforks.
again.
yeah, that is brilliant. That's exactly what we want. So yeah, just we're going to bring out some more videos across the next couple of weeks. Get some more guests on. Joe might come back on again for sure. So yeah, just keep posted, everyone, and thank you for watching.